Welcome to Jumbo News Global Recap. Let's take a look at what's been happening throughout the week in different parts of the world. Get ready to pay more for your favorite fast fashion. While Shein and Temu, the popular Chinese online retailers, are raising prices starting April 25th. The reason? President Trump's new tariffs on goods from China. Well, tariffs are now as high as 245%, and the duty-free exemption for items under $800 is gone. That's making it a lot more expensive for these companies to do business in the US. The impact is already being felt. Shein and Temu's app rankings have been plummeted. Shein has fallen from 15th to 58th place, and Temu has dropped to 75th. They have also had to cut back on advertising. This is a major blow to the fast fashion industry. We'll keep watching closely to see how shoppers react to these price hikes. A major showdown is brewing between Harvard University and the Trump administration. The government has threatened to ban Harvard from enrolling foreign students after the school refused to comply with demands aimed at combating anti-Semitism on campus. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem accused Harvard of jeopardizing national security and requested records on foreign students' activities. She claims the university has failed to address concerns about anti-Semitic incidents on campus. Harvard President Alan Garber has firmly rejected these accusations, stating that the university will not yield to pressure. He affirmed Harvard's commitment to academic freedom and independence. The administration has already frozen $2.2 billion in federal funding and threatened to revoke Harvard's tax exemption, which could cost the university millions. With Canada's election just weeks away, the country's political leaders took to stage for a crucial debate. The four major parties faced off, tackling issues ranging from U.S. President Donald Trump's impact on Canada to domestic challenges like housing and energy. Liberal leader Mark Carney, struggling with French, faced criticism over U.S. tariffs imposed by Trump. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre accused the Liberals of making Canada vulnerable, while NDP leader Jagmeet Singh highlighted tax cuts for the wealthy. The debate also addressed Canada's housing crisis, with Poilievre calling for reduced taxes to boost home building. Both he and Carney agreed on increasing oil and gas production, a move that drew criticism from environmental advocates. We'll continue to follow the campaign closely as we head towards April 28th. A Maryland judge has ordered the return of a Salvadoran man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador by the Trump administration. Kilma Abrego Garcia, 29 years of age, was granted protection from deportation due to potential gang persecution, but was deported on March 15th along with over 260 others. The Trump administration claims Abrego Garcia has ties to the MS-13 gang, but the judge ruled that this allegation was based on unreliable evidence. His attorney argues that he has no criminal record and was wrongfully deported. El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, who is aligned with Trump, stated he cannot facilitate Abrego Garcia's return. The case highlights serious concerns about U.S. immigration policy and due process. Activists are demanding Abrego Garcia's immediate return. This case is a reminder of the human cost of flawed immigration policies. We'll continue to follow up on this story as it unfolds. Legal disputes over wharf properties in India has escalated due to a controversial new law from Prime Minister Modi's government. Waqf's properties, donated by Muslims for charitable purposes, are managed by state Waqf boards. However, thousands are now embroiled in legal battles. In Delhi alone, over 1,000 properties are disputed, with 123 cases against the federal government. Critics argue the Waqf Amendment Act 2025 undermines minority rights and has sparked protests. Disputes arise from unclear land titles and collusion with land mafias. Out of nearly 873,000 Waqf property, over 13,000 are in illegal conflict, often linked to historical grievances dating back to India's partition. The Supreme Court is currently hearing petitions against the new law. The situation is evolving and will continue to provide updates on this important legal battle. California has filed a historical lawsuit against the Trump administration, becoming the first state to challenge the president's tariffs on global trade. Governor Gavin Newsom argues that California, the world's fifth largest economy, is disproportionately affected by these levies, which are set at 10% for most countries and 145% for China. The lawsuit questions Trump's use of emergency powers under the International Emergency Economy Power Act, asserting that such authority should rest in Congress. Newsom announced the lawsuit at an almond farm, emphasizing California's significant agricultural output. The White House has dismissed the lawsuit, claiming the tariffs addressed trade imbalances. Critics warn that reviving U.S. manufacturing is complicated and will strain the economy in the meantime. The case adds to several other legal challenges against Trump's tariffs from small businesses and civil rights groups. The U.S. Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against the state of Maine over its policy allowing transgender students to participate in school sports consistent with their gender identity. Well, the lawsuit, filed in federal court, alleges that Maine's policy violates Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, which prohibits sex discrimination in education programs. The Department of Justice argues that the policy unfairly disadvantages female athletes by allowing transgender girls to compete in girls' sports. Maine Governor Janet Mills has defended the state's policy, stating that it's necessary to protect the rights of transgender students. She has criticized the lawsuit as an attempt to roll back transgender rights. The lawsuit is part of a broader debate over the participation of transgender athletes in school sports, which has become a controversial issue in recent years. We'll keep you updated as the story develops. The conflict in Gaza continues, with Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz stating that Israeli troops will remain in security zones within Gaza. These zones are intended to protect Israeli communities. The Israeli blockade on humanitarian aid to Gaza remains in place, aimed at pressuring Hamas to release hostages. This has been criticized by organizations like Medics Sans Frontières, who argue that it exacerbates the humanitarian crisis. The conflict has resulted in over 1,650 Palestinian deaths, with airstrikes causing significant casualties and displacements. Over 500,000 people have been newly displaced, many living in unsafe conditions. Hamas has rejected calls for a ceasefire without guarantees for Israeli withdrawal and lifting the blockade. The humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate, with severe shortages of medical supplies and food. We'll keep a close look on what's happening and update you. The Trump administration is seeking the criminal prosecution of New York Attorney General Letitia James for alleged mortgage fraud, claiming she falsified property records to secure better loan terms. No charges have been filed yet. Well, James recently won a civil case against Trump for overvaluing his properties, which he is appealing. Trump has publicly criticized James, calling her a wacky crook. Trump's business was previously found liable for falsified records in a civil fraud case, resulting in a $350 million judgment. He has faced other criminal charges as well, claiming that political opponents are misusing the justice system against him. Thank you for joining us today on Jumbo News Global Recap. That was what we had for the week. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, stay informed, stay safe, and stay engaged.